There's our beautiful theme song. Ross, how you feeling this morning, buddy?
Man, I am drinking coffee out of a Batman mug. How could I feel anything but amazing right now?
Perrin, how you doing, buddy?
Same, although my coffee's done. I'm ready to go. We got to do this while I'm on my coffee high.
Let's do it. Restream. Let's go. This podcast is sponsored by Restream. Why live stream to one platform when you can simultaneously live stream to every platform to discover new audiences faster using Restream.io?
Your daily drop on gaming, live streaming, and social media is: why do 75% of kids want to be YouTubers? I know that this sounds like a fabricated number. 75 is a big one, but we actually have studies in hand that show it's actually true, and for reasons you may not have considered before. So Andrew Perrin beside me as always, we were essentially adults when YouTube first kind of came into prominence. Do you think if it had come out 10 years earlier that you guys would have fabricated the dreams of being a famous YouTube star?
Yes, the answer is yes. When I was in high school, I was head of the AV tech team. I skipped class every single day to fix people's printers, to do motion tweens and animations, to run the morning TV show, to do the morning announcements, to be in the theater club, stuff like that, because that's what I wanted to do. And that's essentially you being a YouTuber, but in the 90s. So yes, I definitely would have wanted to be a YouTuber. It would have been a dream come true to even have that opportunity. How about you, Perrin?
Yeah, I probably would have been hooked by the success of gaming YouTubers, because I would have wanted to find some way of getting into gaming for a living, and getting to play it in video on camera and be famous for it for a living would have been a huge draw for me. And I definitely got into video production and in college as well, so it would have fit right in. In fact, in my college, I started studying YouTube. That's when YouTube was getting big, and that's when I started studying. But if it was already big then, I probably would have actually been trying to do it more. But so now kids are exposed to this today, and well, you've got kids, and I've got a daughter, and they're interested in YouTube. They consume YouTube content, so we know what's going on here. Kids now want to be YouTubers, creators, 3 times more than astronauts, and this is a study done by Lego and Harris, and they found that in the United States, 30% of the kids that they surveyed wanted to be YouTubers versus 11% wanted to be astronauts.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense for a bunch of reasons. I mean, one of them being the space program in the United States is like garbage, and it's gone to private companies to run that. So I think that's definitely a factor. But the point is, wanting to be a YouTuber is more popular than wanting to be in the United States than a teacher, a professional athlete, a musician, than everything. And I suppose this is basically the new version of wanting to be a movie star or a rock star. Kids don't want to do those things anymore because that's not really that cool anymore. Being a YouTuber is way cooler, right? Is that a fair assumption?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair.
Yeah, so the point being, is this a bad thing? So I think there's going to be, sensational headlines on the news with boomers that are hosting shows being like, kids want to be YouTubers rather than wanting to be doctors. Is our society headed toward a video game playing, vlogging society where everybody's just TikToking at each other and in cahoots with China? Like, there's going to be this dumb headlines like that. And so the question I want to ask you, honestly, is do you think it can be unhealthy for someone to be a YouTuber in the future, Ross? Do you think these are useful skills that you can acquire as a kid being a YouTuber, learning to film, learning to do audio, learning to be creative, put together a piece of content, put yourself out there? Are these skills that are going to be bad for the youth of the future? Like, think like 15, 20 years in the future. Are these skills you're going to need, Ross?
Oh, well, I mean, yes, I think they are absolutely skills you're going to need, but no, I don't think it's bad. I think it's ridiculous that we even label this as something that's bad. I mean, think about how quick technology advances. Getting kids started at a young age, and you see like 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds learning how to use the iPad and stuff like that. Well, you got to think in 3 years, that iPad is going to be obsolete pretty much. So learning how to learn technology in itself is a skill, and it's a needed one just because of how fast we're adapting. I mean, it sounds, and just using YouTube as an example, YouTube, you kind of, there aren't a lot of bars around you. You can kind of have free range to do whatever you want to do. with your creativity. You can really do just about anything you put your mind to. It's a great way to develop just kind of that free thinking attitude, and kind of it helps you determine what you want to be out of life and stuff like that. So to sit here and say, well, I can't believe my kid doesn't want to go pay $500,000 to be in debt for the rest of his life to be a doctor when he can do this YouTube stuff for, generally a cheap price. Like, it makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to me that it's even an argument for people that wanting to be a YouTuber, that wanting to get into that creator space is a controversy.
I mean, it sounds like it might just be a case of boomers booming and just having no idea what they're talking about, and just not understanding. I mean, if you looked at some of our elders and our leaders in the recent questioning of Google and Amazon and Twitter and what have you in Congress. And these are the folks that are like supposed to be like the elite intellects that are leading us in Congress. And, they're asking Mark Zuckerberg, questions about Twitter, for example. Like, they have no idea what's going on. So I think that it's a case of generational misunderstanding, where the older generation doesn't understand what the younger generation's even doing. And a lot of the times they're not even making the effort to understand. So
that's the big thing.
Perrin, you've got a daughter. Are you going to encourage your kids to become a creator and to be creative online and to put themselves out there and to put their face out there? Is this something that you feel like is going to be healthy? Or are you going to try to limit it, maybe for security reasons? You're worried about some creeps trying to follow your family, blah, blah, blah. What are your thoughts on that? Because I know that's a concern for a lot of parents. And I think a lot of parents are going to try to suppress their kids when they try to put them out on the internet because they're worried about creepsters.
This is the tough challenge as a parent, I think, for those of us who are millennials, and then in this next generation raising the really tech savvy, YouTuber savvy kids generation. And for me, I'm not trying to suppress it, but I am very careful about putting her online yet. And I'm slowly introducing her into what the world of online can be like. And I'm actually doing that. I'm actually using gaming to do that in a way, because it's a little bit safer. She plays The Sims, so that's not an online game where she's necessarily socializing with other people, but she can create content that she can place on a gallery that then other people can like and share. So she's kind of getting that. And I'm letting her go at her pace. She's expressed interest in being a YouTuber, and we'll record local videos. Like, we'll pretend like we're doing YouTube. And she knows that I work with YouTubers, and I do that thing for a career. I mean, she can see my setup here. She hears me doing episodes and doing my live stream now and then, and so she understands what that's like. She is interested in it, and she watches and consumes YouTuber content. Sometimes she plays as though she is a YouTuber, but she hasn't actually been directly interested in YouTubing. She actually wants to be a teacher. So she actually fits on like the second line here. So I haven't directly introduced her. I haven't suppressed it either. As she grows in interest and wants to try things, I just try to use those as opportunities to teach her about what it's like, what to be wary of, how you'll be putting yourself out there in front of other people in the world, and what that could mean. And I'm just doing my best with that, because there really is no landscape or how to do this route. This is all completely new territory, especially for parents. So I just try to be like as careful and then as open in teaching her as much as I can about it. But I'm kind of lucky for now. She enjoys watching YouTube content more than wanting to be one. So not necessarily maybe the best example for this one particularly. Yeah. How about you guys? Like, if you have, or even in your case, Ross, even if you don't have a kid, if your kid wants to become a YouTuber, let's say at the age of like 7 or 8, like what would you do?
I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know what I'd do. I would have to be in that moment and understand what it's like to have a kid and understand what it's like to raise a kid and everything that goes into it. Just speculating doesn't do it justice, I don't think. Off the top of my head, though, I mean, I would find a way to do it safely. If that's something they were interested in, I would explore every avenue. I would make sure that I was in full control of, everything that's being put out there and where it's going, similar to what we do now. But I'd never want to, I say this now, again, not having a kid, but I never want to halt somebody's creativity. And that would be my biggest issue against saying no.
That's where I tend to lean as well. And I was thinking you would agree with that. That's the biggest challenge, is trying not to limit the creativity while also kind of preparing them for the potential harshness of online, where there's trolls. There are bad people who want to say bad things and bring you down. There are also really good people who will support you. In fact, I want to go over to a stat that you pulled here, Ross, where 4 in 10 millennial subscribers say their favorite creator understands them better than their friends. And 70% of teenage YouTube subscribers say they relate to YouTube creators more than traditional celebrities. So clearly, YouTubers connect with their audiences on a deeper level than any of the content that kind of we maybe grew up with consuming. And that is the draw. That is what's bringing kids into this, teenagers and millennials as well, is that connection that exists in this media type that didn't exist before.
That completely makes sense. And I think that, going back to the topic of, do you let your kids create content on the internet? I feel like you have to. I think the future is one that, I think it's difficult for a lot of people that are 30 years old or older to even understand. In the future, you don't get a job by applying. You get a job by having a prominent online profile, and by networking with people on the internet, and by putting yourself out there, by producing content that shows your expertise, by having your personal brand be as good as possible. This is the future of getting jobs. So things like getting college degrees, things that are like from the old school, like brick and mortar, sort of architecture of how you get ahead in society. Those things are going to start to decay and start to fade away as people die, basically, as the boomer generation dies, and as the people that are, 50 years old or so right about now also die. All their ideas about what makes you legit, of getting the college degree, being in with these old school non-internet sort of clubs and societies and prestige, as that kind of fades away, your online prestige, your social media prestige, your connections you have on the internet, how many followers you have, how engaged your audience is, what you've accomplished digitally, will become who you are as a professional and in terms of your career. And so the earlier I think we can prepare kids for that, the better. Because guess what? They are not going to teach this in schools. They're not going to teach you in school how to build your online profile and your personal brand, even though I think this will be the most important skill for the future. This is like combining writing a cover letter with a resume, with how to network, with how to shake hands, with how to nail an interview, all combined into one. That's what building your online profile is. So when it comes to kids, if you're worried about them being identified with their real name, you can create a brand for them, a personal brand for them. My nephew is currently, his parents, super hesitant about Facebook. They're worried about kidnappers and the whole nine. They're very paranoid. The dad is a cop, right? And so they created an online moniker for him. It's called Climbing with the Kid. So they never reveal his name. It's just Climbing with the Kid. It shows the kid in the avatar and it shows the kid in the content, but he's just the kid. And they never say who he is or or exactly where he lives or anything like that. And so there are ways to, just like using a gamer tag, to use, to basically mask your identity so that you can stay away from a lot of creepers, but still put yourself out there and still give your kids the experience of building an online presence. So I think that these are essential skills. These are not things to avoid. You shouldn't count on them just learning on their own. Perrin is walking his kid through the process of how to learn that today, and Perrin's kid's going to have a leg up on all the idiot parents out there that think that they can avoid this, or let's just wait until they become an adult to learn these essential skills. To me, that's absolutely ridiculous. I don't know. I maybe I'm way down the road. Maybe I'm like way out in left field here. But I think that these are not extra skills. These are practical, basic skills, like learning how to fold your laundry level skills 15 years from now and 20 years from now, when things are far more digital than they are today.
Yeah, and I think having that approach right now is especially going to be beneficial to kids in the future. It's like you said, we may not be there exactly right now just because of a lot of thought tanks are kind of holding us back a little bit, but it's definitely going that way. It's stupid to even sit here and pretend like it's not. There's literally no argument to say that this isn't where we're going. Anyway, I wanted to bring up something real quick because they actually, in this poll, it's from The Sun. This is the one that says 75% of kids want to be YouTubers. And they actually listed off why they want to be YouTubers. And this is what I found interesting. Fame and money are not at the top. The number one, 24%, is creativity. Fame is 11%. Self-expression is 11%. Money is about 10%. People's about 8%. And then recognition and travel coming at 6 and 4%. Is there anything there that really stands out to you? Does that surprise you at all that creativity is the number one thing why people want to become YouTubers, and it's not the money and lavish lifestyles that you see that, the top 100 YouTubers have?
I mean, that doesn't surprise me because they are surveying kids. So kids want things like creativity and emotional fulfillment and social fulfillment, being cool, having lots of followers and what have you. But as they get older and they get into their 20s, they'll start to care about money a lot more because, they have to start worrying about money. So yeah, I think that if you exclusively surveyed like kids under 18, then things like creativity and fame and self-expression will be at the top. I imagine if you surveyed people that are like between 18 to 24, money would be in the top 2, maybe top 3, because now they realize that money exists and you have to make it to survive. So I think it's more of a generational. It's more of a just an age thing. When I was that age, I didn't care about money because my parents paid for everything. As soon as I got into my 20s, I cared a lot about money. As soon as I got into my 30s and I had kids, I cared way more about money then. So as you get older, you just care more about money. But that being said, this for anybody, I'm going to pull it up on the screen. For anybody who's a parent or has a parent, show them this episode. Or has a parent, knows a parent, show them this episode and show them these reasons. These are the reasons why your kid actually wants to create content on the internet. They want to express themselves. They want to be popular. They want to, be creative. Does that sound like you, parent that's listening right now, when you were a kid? Did you want to be socially accepted? Did you want people to like you? Of course you did. And this is what kids have to do. Teenagers have to do to be socially accepted, is to do these things on the internet, not in real life. Obviously, there's a real life component, but right at this moment with COVID, there isn't much of a real life component. So their entire digital life is their entire social life, their social stature, and how they can express themselves. And so if you look at this chart right here, this is why platforms like TikTok have exploded. If you look at TikTok, it's, in my opinion, it is the most creative platform. And it has the most self-expression for young people of any social media platform out there. And this chart shows you why. You can't make that much money on TikTok, but young people don't care. That's not what they actually care about. They care about doing fun dances, about getting recognition and expressing themselves. And that's number 1, 2, and 3 on this poll. So I think this poll is spot on, and I think can give a lot of late millennials and boomers some insight on why young people are actually using social media, and it can show you that this is healthy. These are things that every young person should be doing. It's a part of growing up and figuring out who the hell you are. This is good. 2 thumbs way up for all 3 of those things.
So go ahead, Baron. I'm sorry.
I just want to add, imagine you had a platform when you were a kid, if you were an older, if you're a boomer or older millennial right now, where you could just just completely be creative in whatever way you wanted to and become successful in fame, self-expression, friends, money. I mean, we now have platforms, multiple platforms too, where you can just be your own creative person and do your unique thing and get all of these things for it. That didn't exist when we were kids. So we grew into this as we got older, but our kids are growing up with this to start with. That's awesome. That means they have this infinite level of creativity. The horizon is the only thing that's going to stop them. They can, whatever they can imagine and create, they can almost pretty much do it. The tools are out there. That's an amazing thing, realistically.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, because I think there is some kind of lesson that current content creators and YouTubers can take away from this. We saw the statistic that 40% of kids think that YouTubers are more relatable than their own friends and family. And I think this is a unique it's unique to YouTube. It's I don't even think it's that necessarily unique to social media, but it's unique to YouTube because of this relatability factor that I don't think a lot of YouTubers understand how important that is to be able to from a psychological standpoint actually be able to draw somebody in and make them feel like you are friends with them. Is there anything that we can take away from that, or any tips or anything whatsoever? Because I feel like most of these YouTubers don't even realize they're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on who you're talking about. So if they're a pro, they do realize they're doing it, and they build being relatable into their format. If you look at top tubers that kind of start small and then get really big, they'll start out in their bedrooms. Basically, you hear my kids, they hear me talking about YouTube, and they're like, Daddy, I want to be a YouTuber. Anyway, they start out in their bedroom creating content there. Let's take Ninja, for example. He started out in his bedroom creating content. And even when he became a multimillionaire, he kept for a long time his shot of him in the bedroom. Did he do that on purpose? I would imagine he absolutely did. And that's because, hey, I'm on a call, guys. It's my kids back there. So lost my train of thought. Yeah, so he stayed in the bedroom for his shot because, hold on, my kids are running rampant in my room.
They just want to be YouTube stars, man.
He can't be a YouTuber yet. Get out of here.
Don't take away his moment of fame.
He can't be a YouTuber yet. He's only 2. So he stayed in the bedroom with that shot because it made him more relatable. And that's why he did it. And I think a lot of these big guys do that as well. Is they stay in the bedroom, they show their bed in the background, the messy bed, and it makes them look like they're regular guys. But they're actually multimillionaires with a Lamborghini in the driveway. And they did that on purpose. Also, PewDiePie, for example, he's the biggest YouTuber there is. He keeps his background really simple. He keeps things super relatable and super kind of almost lo-fi and low production. I think he does that on purpose. Because if he did a big fat studio and he actually spent money on production, it would make him less relatable and his audience wouldn't like him as much. And so that's something that a lot of creators have to be careful about, is that they can't flex too much. They can't show off their money. They can't increase their production value because it makes them seem like they're out in outer space and they can't be relatable anymore. And at a certain point, it looks fake when these big multi-million subscriber YouTubers and what have you are just like, hey guys, how's it going? And they're like sitting on their couch with a couple of like cheap Target pillows. It just is disingenuous at that point, and the audience can start to tell. That's my opinion on the matter. And is there any other closing thoughts on the subject of kids wanting to be YouTubers?
I thought Perrin was going to say something. He started.
Yeah, I had something and I just lost it. That was good. I can actually see it going the other way too. I mean, because part of what is driving them is the idea of fame. So you can show fame, but you have to do it right. You need to be relatable. I guess what I was thinking of and trying to find a good way to say it is, if you are a creator, your voice is being listened to. And you're maybe connecting more with especially young people than you might think. So keep that in mind. The things that you say are being absorbed by other people. So you are a role model in a way. Make sure that you're a good role model. And so, yeah, sorry for the pause there. I wanted to find a good way to say that. But all creators are essentially role models in that way. And so we should all be striving to be good ones for the next younger generation so they can do the same thing.
I think that's beautiful.
I think it's beautiful as well. Ross, take us out of here. That was a beautiful moment, Perrin. Here's the music. Get us out of here.
That was the best way to end the show. This was your Daily Drop. Full replays are up on YouTube. If you missed any hot tips or discussion points that you want to talk about, kids on YouTube. Subscribe to the audio version on Apple, Google, Spotify, iHeartRadio, just about every other podcasting platform out there. We will be back tomorrow. Happy creating, creators.